I'm going to make a video on this Dutch Mannlicher carbine that I have here. They're pretty rare rifles and they seem to be quite sought after, even though they're very hard to get ammunition for. And like even with mine, like I've only got a couple of collector rounds and I don't even have a clip for it. I've never been able to find one. These guns are chambered in 6.5 by 53R, Dutch I guess they call it, and it's very hard to find ammunition for, but these guns seem to command kind of a premium, like if you can find one. And they're interesting little guns. They're different than your typical sort of surplus. It's not something you see every day. So I'm just going to go over this particular rifle. This one here is a cavalry. It would be a Dutch East Indies cavalry carbine. And how you would know these things, because there was supposedly like 17 different variations, and I think that's just carbines alone. And some of them were given to the colonial forces, and like when these were made, like the Dutch had colonies and a huge colony in the Dutch East Indies, and that's where a lot of these come from. And the way you can tell is one of the biggest giveaways that you'll see is the these little sling swivels. They're very narrow for like a narrow sling. That's pretty much how you can tell it's a East Indies gun. The other thing is there's no handguard. This is a cavalry model, and the cavalry models don't have the top handguard. Like the the carbines for artillery troops or say specialist troops, they have this ugly wooden handguard, which actually it's ugly, but it's actually kind of neat at the same time, because it goes over top of the barrel almost right to the end of the barrel, and it's kind of a neat looking thing, and I've never seen one of those personally. Like this is the second one of these rifles that I've owned. It's the only other one that I've come across. And they also say right here, it says cavalry. I'm not sure what the other ones are marked. It might say like art or something like that for the artillery ones, but it says cavalry, so that's how you know it's a cavalry carbine. If it's got this written on it and it's missing the handguard, and if it's got the small sling loops like this, then it's definitely an East Indies issued gun. So I'll go over some of the markings. Right here is the 6.5 by 53. There seems to be something down here in the just at the wood line. This gun right around the wood line, it's got quite a bit of pitting to it. Like it's really nasty on the one side. It's got quite a bit of pitting, but like it doesn't really matter to me. This is more of a collector's piece than a shooter because of how rare the ammunition is to get. You can see the pitting along the wood line there. And the markings on the stock right here, which are pretty visible. They're pretty easy to make out. And someone's put something here, some kind of design stamping. I'm not sure if that's to get the firing pin out of the bolt or not. And as far as the other side, here's the markings here. A Hembrug 1919, which is stamped on the stock as well, so that would have been the production date and when it entered service. And then there's some really interesting markings here, which I don't know what they mean. I don't know what the 300 stands for, and there's some other proofing. And then the serial number is very tiny, or I believe that's the barrel number, is the little tiny number, and then your serial number on the top right here. I have no idea how many of these little carbines they actually made for either the artillery or the like the cavalry ones. I don't know how many were actually made, and again, there's so many different variations. I don't know why there's so many different variations, if they're improvements or if they're just slightly different. Here's the rear sight, which is kind of a unique sight, and it's an easy tell for one of these rifles or carbines, is that unique rear sight. And I'll just show the muzzle with the bayonet lug cap on it. Another interesting sort of feature, like somebody's carved their initials or something in here. These guns, I don't know why, like I'm guessing it's that area of Europe, but the wood on these things is just like with the French guns. They sort of have this like dark kind of finish to them of the wood, and they're always completely totally beat to hell. Like every little tiny little mark in here shows up. Like if you can see the stock, like you can see how everything has got a ding on it. There isn't a section of this gun that doesn't have a ding in it, but it seems to be just like the type of wood it is. It's so soft that it just like it sucks up any damage that like any little bump you do to it, it leaves a mark. Now something really weird is on the butt plate here, there's a huge gap between the plate itself and the butt. Like it's got this gap. It's almost like there was a gasket or something in there and it's rotted away or something. I really don't know because I don't have anything to check it against or compare it to. And it is the original butt plate. The serial number is on the butt plate. That's very faint. You can't hardly read it, but it is there and it matches the barrel. So that's kind of a really weird feature. I don't know why it's sort of like stepped like that, why there's that gap in there, which is kind of unique. So the bolt action on the gun looks just like this. It's basically like the straight pull of the straight pull M95 rifle, except that it's a turn bolt instead of the straight pull, because it's got that Mannlicher style of magazine. And the bolt is like this, and it has the dual extractors on the bolt, or I guess it's an extractor ejector type of a thing on there, which is kind of unique to this gun. And this is the mechanism in here. The bolt does not match on this particular rifle. This is what it looks like the numbers here, and they don't match the safety. And then it's got this sort of sliding ejector thing on it here, which is on the bolt head. So pretty much if you find one of these guns, you want to make sure it's complete, because I don't know how easy it would be to replace. It doesn't appear to be a part that you would break. You might lose it, but I don't think it's a easy part to break. So I would make sure that it was a complete gun if you ever did find one of these and like were able to pick one up, because a lot of people do seem interested in them. And here's the safety. So really there's not a whole heck of a lot else to say about it. It's an interesting little gun, and it's not something you often run up against, and I don't know if there's a huge following for them, but it seems like the people know that they are pretty rare guns, and they are sought after. So if you find one, I recommend picking up. It's a very well built rifle. It's a very quality built rifle, but ammunition is next to impossible to find. I guess it can be made from other cartridges, but the only thing is I maybe in the future, I hope that somebody would do a cartridge, like redo this cartridge for these guns, but I don't really see it happening. But it is an interesting firearm. So anyways, there's not too much else to say about it. This is the Dutch Mannlicher. This is a cavalry carbine. So thank you for watching.